Hello, everyone. Welcome to Natty News, the nattiest news show in the world. My name is Anwar the Natty, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Pat, future physiotherapist. Woo. Pat, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. This is one of the last podcasts before I dive right into school and shit really will hit the fan.
Yeah, man. No, for the listeners who don't know, Pat is going back to school. He has his undergrad, he has his master's, and now he's gonna get a master's in physiotherapy. How are you feeling about it?
Oh man, I feel excited, but it's gonna be a big shift in lifestyle. I've spent the majority of the last year and a half just going to the gym, keeping life simple, seeing a couple friends, working, and doing weekly podcasts. And it's going to be really weird to be doing 5 days a week of intensive schooling, but I know it's going to be worth it. And whatever new knowledge that I earn will certainly contribute to my work and also to the pod because I'm sure I'll have a lot to share.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we're gonna have like a little like patch lecture time where it's being like, okay, Pat, what have you been learning? Give us all the secrets of physiotherapy to all the listeners.
Yeah, just I'll just be studying on the podcast, and every week that's gonna be our fun facts. You're gonna learn some obscure physio fact.
I'm just really excited for when you go into class and it turns out your professor has been listening to Natty News and then he actually just gives you your degree and everyone claps.
It's true. This was worth all my credits. Made a podcast. That's good enough.
That's your final assignment before you can graduate. All the physio students have to make a podcast and you're like, oh, I'm done. I'm good to go. Let's just give me that paper.
Yeah. Well, a trend with a lot of physio students, they all have this like Instagram page that they have for their physio stuff. So I'm too cool for that. So I'm gonna have a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs an Instagram page only? Well, anyways, that is exciting. When are you starting again? When's your first day?
Um, and the listeners gonna know exactly where I am. The next week. So let's see. Yeah. So the week after this podcast is released is gonna be orientation. And then after that, we're diving right in. So it's gonna be second week of September.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Second week of September. That is actually very soon, man. So enjoy the last little bit of freedom until you get back into the books. But yeah, you have any other news?
Um, no, it's been things are pretty normal on the training side. I'm hoping there will be the island competition again in November this year, and I'd be really excited to go because I haven't done an in-person comp in year and a half now. But besides that, it's pretty chill. How about you?
It's been pretty good as well. I've been getting back into um the flow of things, been lifting heavy, been going to the gym, been making some gains, doing some good stuff. But I have some unfortunate news, Pat. I know an icon of both you and I, someone we really look up to, has recently gotten injured. Friend of the show, as everyone knows, the bloat lord, Kirikos Grizzly, himself has gotten a bit of a bicep tear. So I hope everyone in their natty prayers hopes him well, that he can recover. And um, although it's a very sad thing, I think the bloat lord really does relate to today's conversation, Pat. And it's a conversation about strength. And with Natty News, we talked a lot about how to get strong, but have we really talked about why to get strong?
Yeah, and I can't believe we've gone this many episodes. And I guess we just assumed everyone wants to get strong, when when I don't think that's always the correct assumption. But both of us have clearly been doing it for 10 plus years, and with life getting more busy and with socialization, there's other things to do, and we want to kind of give you our story too of why this continues to be a priority through all these years.
Yeah, and it's actually a little funny thing too, because I feel like in our community, most people we know work out like a little bit of something. Like we kind of like have a lot of people do it, but it has surprised me to meet someone who does like no like activity. I remember one time my girlfriend was out for like lunch with her boss, and she was asking if I could come by too because they were at a restaurant near where I was at. And so I was actually at the gym, and then she was telling that to her boss, and then he was like, "Wait, why is he working out? Like, we're all just gonna die. What's the point of working out and stuff?" And I was like,
Whoa.
"Man, that is such a like, not to be mean, but that's such a bad take."
Yeah, well, I mean, why don't we just start with that? I mean, somebody that let's say someone important to you ask that question, why do you need to work out? We're all gonna die. How do you respond?
Because I think working out is like one of the best bang for your bucks for improving your quality of life. Like, it doesn't really take that much time to work out. It's actually pretty enjoyable. Like, you get some good, like, you feel good after you work out. It's fun. You have goals. There's like a whole community around it, so it's like a good hobby. And like, you just get so much benefits in your everyday life, whether it be just like being able to move around pain free for a long time, so you have the longevity aspect, as well as like if there's something you want to do, you can probably do it. Like if I want to go and like go climb something or like jump a fence or something, it's not too hard to do. So it kind of like lets you live life to the maximus with only like a couple hours a week of work.
Oh, right. I mean, I'm sold. I like this strength training. I'm gonna start Monday.
Well, kind of wondering, Pat, for your line of work, does anyone like ever ask you like, why should I work out? Like, why should I have a trainer and work out? Have you ever gotten that before?
Literally, my see teaching people how to train if they want to is easy. I'm pretty good at that, but
Yeah.
the hardest part of the job is convincing people that this stuff is absolutely worth doing. And I just had a conversation with a client this morning. It's a client I've had for, I think, 4 years on now, and she just used to hate the stuff. She was just there because the doctor said, "Hey, you have to go to the gym and see a guy." Um, but like today, we were talking about it, and she's like, "Whoa, like strength training is like," because at one point she couldn't get up her stairs really well. In her new house, she bought a house. There are too many stairs. She was like, "Crap, I can't get up them." Then you get mad, right? You're like, "I bought a house, I can't get up the stairs." But we've been doing all this training. We do like squats and split squats and hinges and whatnot. And now she's like, "Yo, I can get up the stairs now. I can enjoy my house. My feet don't hurt as much. My back's not as bad." She's, like her husband got some 40-pound dumbbells that she never thought she would ever play with, but like now we're doing rows and carries with them. Like, that's the thing where you get, I think it's almost guaranteed if you do strength training that you're going to get a positive transformation. And how many things in life can you say guarantee you like a positive return on investment? I think it's very few things.
Yeah, completely, completely. And especially like I think a big thing is strength training ensures longevity. Like if for the listeners who listened to our last episode with Ryan Booth, who is just a beast, like he's in his like what was it, late 40s, early
Yeah.
50s, and like he's still able to like squat 500 plus pounds. He still like is super active, is able to do a bunch of stuff. And so I think this whole myth of like, not myth, but like in the past, it was seen that like as you age, you're gonna lose a lot of function. You have like your prime years in your 20s and 30s, and you're just gonna be like in pain and not be able to move much. And that's just not true. Like now we understand much, much more that like if you can do some good strength training, take care of your body, you can do a lot in your later years of life. And although you and I are both young, like I want to keep up like my quality of life, my body, and all the stuff I can do now. I want to keep that for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the perspective of longevity, not just through how long you live, but like the things you're able to do at any point in your life, right? Like, I think we all hear of so many people in their 40s and 50s, even in their 20s, they're like they don't want to do anything because their back hurts and they're sore or their knee just crumples anytime they have to take even like a couple flights of stairs, right? And so, to retort to the guy who says, "Why work out? We're all going to die." It's like, we're all going to die, but during the time we're here, if you're a lot stronger, you don't have to be a powerlifter, but if you have a sufficient level of strength, you're going to be able to do more things, have more experiences, possibly get hurt less, right? All while looking a little bit better too. Like it's a pretty good situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's one of those things where like um when you work out, you also start to realize about like how like your body doesn't get tired as easily. Like I
Yeah.
recently was helping my dad move out of his place, and so we were like moving box and all that stuff, and like the next day like I felt fine, didn't feel sore at all. But then he was telling me one of his friends that was helping out too was like having trouble getting out of bed from all like the bending and lifting and stuff. So it's like one of those things where like you don't really realize that benefit where like yeah, I can just wake up the next day, I'm fine, I can go work out, I can do whatever I want. So like that's really one of the big benefits of strength training is just the fact that like your body kind of becomes bulletproof. Like I think I've mentioned before where like I've never felt pain in my lower back because of like deadlifting. Like if I deadlift, never any lower pain in my back, never really have any issues with that. So it does give a lot of benefit.
Yeah, I mean, fully agree with that. And like the nerd term for that is general physical preparation, right? And like, for example, like basketball players don't like deadlift because they deadlift during games, but they do some deadlifts because they generally, if you have generally stronger hamstrings and back, then you're less likely to get hurt. And for the regular person, lifting is just some general preparation for the things you have to do in life. Maybe you don't have to move boxes very often, but when you do, if you've never been exposed to it, that kind of puts you at a little bit higher risk to strain something or be unprepared, right? But a little bit of strength training goes a long way just to have you feel pretty comfortable when you have to exert a little bit of force.
You know, Pat, I love that basketball example because I was thinking about how people, and this is used a lot for like some Instagram trainers and stuff, where they sell the idea of functional strength, where like they say that like, okay, the barbell movements and stuff, like when are you ever gonna do a deadlift in real life? Like you're never gonna pick up something like you would in like a deadlift motion. Why would you do that? Why are you not doing functional movements and build functional strength? And I kind of feel like strength is strength. Like it doesn't matter how you get strong. It's the same thing. Like you're strong because you worked at the muscles and you have that strength. It doesn't matter what exercise you're doing. But is there any merit to these functional strength coaches?
I'm like horribly not a fan of them. I also, so like one of my biggest like things to share to the world through my work and like through the podcast too is that like exercise does not need to be elitist, right? Like we're always
Yeah.
talking about that. Like you should be able to do it without being a douchebag and without it being unnecessarily complicated. And that's what those functional dudes do. Everything's too damn complicated, right? Like if you generally want a stronger back, like doing some variation of a deadlift works. And if you have more muscle and if you've done enough deadlifts that it's built your spine bones stronger, your hip bones are stronger, like everything's stronger, you will generally be able to take more force. Like if like both of us can deadlift 400 plus, I mean you can do 500 plus, but I'm not as strong as you. But anyways, right? If there's a 50-pound box, even if we're lifting with not a straight back, like that is a very small percentage of what we're capable of. That's why it works. It's not because, yes, like we don't deal with the deadlift motion, but we've built up the capacity using the deadlift as a tool that like these tasks don't seem like much, right? Like we can do them.
Yeah, man. I remember I was watching on like the Instagram TV. There was a coach who was like promoting that all movement should be done 90 degrees. So he'd be doing like
Oh,
uh
Joel Seedman.
yeah, yeah, Joel. So he was like talking about like an overhead press. You should stop like here, like at like your eye level and go like and it's so silly because it's like, okay, you're not gonna lose anything by extending the range of motion as long as there's no pain in anything. But it was crazy to me. I actually have to ask you: is he legit or is he just a troll?
Oh man, he is the worst. Like, and I taught some undergrads before who followed this guy's content. I'm like, no, like this is undoing your education. Like you're literally becoming less educated every time you listen to him because yeah, like he rides behind his like PhD, which I don't know how he got it. He probably scammed somebody for it. But like all the whole 90-90 stuff and like he used some like ridiculous exercises. Like there was one he took like a safety squat bar. You know what those are?
Yeah.
And like he just went under them and he had it in the rack, right? And he's just doing this with a safety squat bar.
Okay, I saw those and I was thinking this is fake. Like he's messing with people with that one because that one is ridiculous.
No, he's got a 6K follower follow, and I have people who I honestly think are decent coaches who follow him. Maybe they just follow him ironically, but it's kind of scary. Like even if you listen to one or two posts, right, it affects your mindset. And like the way he's like explains exercise using like a speech. You don't need a speech to explain an exercise, right? Like keep it simple, right? Keep your cues to 2 to 3 sentences max, where like rather he just almost saying so many things so that people get confused, so that they're like, oh shit, maybe I have to buy his program. Like that's what I really, really dislike.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to spend the whole time just crapping on him, but yeah, like that is ridiculous. And you're completely right about these functional strength coaches are very elitist. But I have to say,
Yeah.
another group that are very elitist too are kind of like I guess some of like your gym bros or like your like fitness influencers who are very like anal about like okay, you have to squat. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
squat, you have to deadlift, you have to bench, you have to do these lifts. And like I
Yeah.
completely don't agree with that. Like honestly, there's so many variations. If you don't like back squatting, don't back squat. You can do lunges, you can do front squat, you can do the split squat. There's like so many options you can do that can build really strong legs that might even be better than squatting. And same with deadlifting, same with bench pressing. So I think there's a lot of elitism that people think they have to do a specific program to get strong.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I do think there are some things that most people would benefit from doing, but it's not as cut and dry as everybody needs to conventional deadlift, back squat ass to grass, and do barbell bench press. Like I think, yeah, and I think just and also that's just not very. It's kind of boring too, right? At some point, and there's just more to it. Like as much as it doesn't need to be all functional movement, you're allowed to move in more planes of motion and more different types of motion too, and can totally make the same type of progress.
Well, that's actually a great point you made. So a YouTuber I really like is Eric Buchagan, not for his educational content, but just because his videos are super fun to watch, and he's a big believer in something called strong in every position. So for people who are not familiar with his content, this guy does like the most weirdest lifts. Like he's known for doing behind the back deadlifts, which he can do 900 pounds, Zercher squats with a weight is held on his forearms, and just like a bunch of ridiculous stuff he loves to do. But one of the things he does talk about is like his whole idea is he wants to be strong. And if you just do deadlift, squats, and bench, you're strong in those very specific movements and you're a specialist. But in real life, like you're never gonna be pushing a weight lying on your back on a bench, allowing yourself to arc and get a leg drive. And like you're never gonna always have to use a deadlift to pick up something. So for him, it's like I want to be strong in every possible situation or position my body's in. And it also makes sense for his career. He's a wrestler, so when you throw someone, when you try to suplex someone, it's not always going to be ideal. So you gotta be strong in all those different places, and I really like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little bit much for like the average person, but like if you're WWE wrestler, you really should be strong in every position because you are in every position. But I mean, I think the average person, that's where we've grown, right? We're no longer like squat, bench, deadlift wannabe powerlifters, and we mix it up, right? Like I started doing some like kettlebell get ups or some like lateral lunges or some rotations, moving a different plane, and I think just sprinkling in those, I think for those of you listening who always do the same squat, bench, deadlift, or even like snatches, clean and jerks and like sagittal plane, I think there's a lot of benefit to be found from exploring some other directions of movement, right? And that does make you more well-rounded. And also will work some muscles that probably you're not targeting very much.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about training though, because I think another thing people think is like, okay, if I want to get big and strong, I have to live in the gym. Like I have to commit so much time, hours, and effort to it. But I think to get to like a baseline of strength is actually not too hard. Like strength training, like many things in life, does have diminishing returns. Like for me and you, Pat, if I can gain 50 pounds in my deadlift in a year, I'm stoked. Like I am so
That's a lot.
happy to gain. Yeah, like I would be so happy. But like for a beginner, it's pretty common for like people to gain like 100, 200, maybe even 300 pounds on their deadlift in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I think it, like, evidence for that is like, most people, they'll see like a personal trainer once or twice a week, and like to us, like, it's not a lot to us gym rats. We're like, okay, we like to go 4 or 5 times, but really, like, people can see a lot of benefits. I'll still see people go from 100-pound deadlift to 300-pound deadlift, from no pull-ups to pull-ups, and a lot of it's just about showing up. And like, that's an hour of time, and it doesn't even have to be an hour, right? Like, we talked to Owen a couple of weeks ago, and he pretty much, I think, does like, it's anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes, does the same stuff every time, and he keeps getting stronger. Like, that's how much it needs to be. It doesn't need to be like 2 hours.
Yeah, actually, like it really can be that simple where you just go in, you do a couple sets of like your squats, bench, deadlift, or any movement you want to do, any big compound movements, and then like you go back maybe like 2, 3 times a week. Like you're golden. Like you can gain a lot of strength from just doing that. In a year, I would imagine you would double every number you've done initially.
Yeah, if it's your first year, both from like actual gains and just from like technical competency with the movement, like figuring out how to move heavy weights is like, I think that's the biggest skill you learn from the gym too. Like, even in real life, sometimes when I have to move some furniture, I'm like eyeing it. I'm like thinking, what's like a decent leverage that I can lift it, and like how can I, or even like you learn some bracing, like, okay, I'm like torquing here, maybe I should learn to brace. Like, those are the things that if you really take the time to learn how to strength train well, like, you will have forever.
Yeah, completely. Oh man, the bracing, that's a big one. That probably is what keeps our backs healthy.
Yeah, like, what's hard? Like, deadlifts are not that hard, but when you have to move like I don't have a shelf here right now, but like, like a shelf. Oh, there's just like a shelf right there, because there's like no normal way to hold it, and it's always like in front of you. If you completely don't brace and then you change direction, you go around a door and you torque a little bit, like, that's where some people throw out their backs, right? And like, knowing how to brace when you need to is a pretty good skill.
Yeah, no, you're completely right about that. So, if someone was just coming to you, Pat, and was like, "Listen, I just want to get strong. What should I do?" Like, what would be like maybe a skeleton program they could do? Like, what would you recommend?
So if you're a completely new lifter, I like to think of it as, when you go to the gym, don't think of just getting a workout in. Think of practicing. So we're going to learn some skills. We don't have to even go heavy yet. We can just learn the skills. So we'll do a little bit of squatting. We'll do some hinging or deadlifting. We'll do some kind of pushing, either overhead or horizontal, depending on how healthy your shoulders are. Probably do some pulling, whether that's like rows or even like pulling a sled, something like that. And then definitely doing some carries so you get a stronger grip, because people who aren't physically active tend to have a pretty weak grip. And then we just practice. Like, for a lot of my new trainees, like, we'll just do practice with like a light barbell. So maybe like 85 pounds in the bar. And then we're going to do sets of 3. We might even do like 7, 8, 9 sets, and just learn about it. Like, get the positions right. And that's, just, if you don't have a coach with you, that's cool, right? Have a training buddy, take some videos, and like kind of do it intentfully. And if you do it with intent, it doesn't even need to be that heavy at the beginning, because as you learn, you're going to get stronger.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the beautiful things too, is you get both like the noob gains where you just get stronger by doing literally anything, but you also like you do get better at the technique, and when you get better at the technique, your numbers are going to go higher significantly. And so, what do you think should be like the progression? If someone's new, should they progress every week, just add in like 5, 10 pounds?
Yeah, I think 5-10 pounds is, yeah, it's pretty good. And you can even like take big jumps when you know it, because this is what usually happens. When you first do a new skill, this can be any skill, right? The first couple sessions you do it, you're just like, I have no idea what's going on. And then all of a sudden you have an idea, and then you feel way better about it. So, it's going to probably be like 5-10 pounds. All of a sudden it might be like 40 pounds, and that's fine. But also as a beginner, really come to every session looking to improve. Like the words on the program are really just arbitrary. Like if you're following an online program and you feel like it's too heavy, like my back hurts, if you take off weight, that doesn't make you a wuss. Like take off weight and practice, right? Or if it's too light too, put on some weight and make yourself work. So follow a program, but also make sure the program is a template and that like kind of your learning and your body's individual response matter too.
Yeah, man. No, that's completely true. And you're right. I think it is true, but like when you first start something new, it's always a good idea to maybe start a little light. Um, like a month or so ago, I wanted to try out good mornings because I never used to do them, and I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
Let's give them a try. So I think like the first week I did them, I did like 95 pounds, and I was like, okay, this feels good. And then like the next week, I got more used to the movement, so I was able to do a plate. And then like the next week, I was like, you know what, this movement, like I got it down. So now I was able to do like 185. So it's like
Yeah,
once you get comfortable with the movement and you know how to like activate your muscles in that movement, then it just like skyrockets till you actually at like a proper training level.
exactly. Like when you are ready and confident, you'll be able to lift more. Like if you're not confident because your form sucks, you can't make it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
But so now we're talking a lot about like beginner strength gains, and so one of the things I think we want to get out of this episode is like it's not that much work to get to a certain level of strength. Like getting to like a two-ish plate deadlift, like a lot of people can be able to get to a two-plate deadlift pretty reasonably with like some good moderate effort. But then there is the whole idea of diminishing returns, like a two-plate deadlift, not too bad. A 4 or 5 plate deadlift, yeah, that takes some work. And then like a 6, 7 plate deadlift, that is a lot of work you have to do for that. And so I kind of am of the belief now where like, and Owen talked about this too, like once you get to that point, I don't think you get much benefit in your life. Like honestly, a 4 plate deadlift is kind of excessive for everyday life. You don't get much benefit from that. We just kind of do it because we're gym rats. We love to see the numbers go up. But for a lot of people, I don't think it does really provide much more a better lifestyle for you if you deadlift that much.
Exactly. Like once you get to a certain point, right? But the other benefit is that once you get to the certain point, it is incredibly easy, I think, to maintain those gains. And this is where I
Yes.
want to like go into a little bit of story time for both you and I, where we have both have periods in our college and professional lives where we kind of fell off from the gym, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I can tell a story first, and I'm sure you'll have one. So, like during my mid years of university, I was like somewhere between doing a lot of like tennis and cheer, and in those point of times, I might have gone to the gym 0 to 1 time a week, if that. Like sometimes I didn't go at all. But all I would do during those times to go to the week, and I didn't know as much as I do right now, but I would do some deadlifts. I'd probably go kind of heavy, not a lot of reps, and I'd work up to like somewhere between like 365 to like 400 something pounds. And I'd probably do some like squats. My squats were bad back then, but I'd do them like 4 sets or so. I'd do some pull-ups. I think I'd do some shoulder press. And then I might do some accessories, and that was like my once a week workout. It was pretty like random too. I wasn't that like focused. Like there wasn't like I didn't have programming or like exercise science at that point, but I always kind of retained my 400-ish deadlift, my like 300-ish squat, and my like 10 to 15 pull-ups, right? Just from doing it once a week. And even if I fell off 2 weeks, it kind of came back quick, right? And when I went back to like lifting seriously with Olympic lifting, clearly like I was able to regain a lot of the muscle that I had lost coming off it. So like once you get to that level, staying there, oh man, it's not tough.
Man, dude, you are completely right. Like, I'm actually kind of shocked about how little I kind of trained some lifts, but how I can keep the strength. And I have a very similar story to you as well. Like, after high school, actually, In college, I still used to lift pretty heavy and consistently, but when I went off to UBC and university, that kind of went away. Yeah, I was getting kind of a little overwhelmed with school and other stuff going on, and didn't lift as much as I used to. I think I might have had even worse workouts than you, Pat. I would work out maybe once or twice a week, and I would do the same workout. I would start off with I would throw on 4 plates for deadlifts, and I would do an AMRAP. So I would just do as many as possible, and I would just do one set. I just did one set of deadlifts, and that's it. And then I would do like some overhead press, some bench, and then a squatting movement, like either front squats or back squats, or something like that. And I would do like some pull-ups and some bodybuilding stuff, and that would be it. And like I can't remember the last time I couldn't deadlift 4 or 5 for reps, like. And that's all I did. Is I literally did one set of AMRAPs like a week, and sometimes I would maybe not even lift for like a month if it was like finals times, and I would finish my final, and I would be like, "Can I still do 4 or 5 for 5? Okay, yep, I can still do it."
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like strength is a skill, but once you have the skill, it's like riding a bike. It doesn't really go away, and you always have it with you. And like even if you lose like the physical muscle too, that comes back quick too after hiatus, you'll find.
Yeah, and see, it's kind of I remember when I first started working out, and I was buying like these whey proteins and stuff. My grandma was like, "Why are you spending so much time doing this? Like your muscles are just gonna go away when you're old, and like once you stop taking this whey, it's just all gonna go away." And like when I was younger, I didn't know. I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna try. But like now looking back, it's like you don't really lose much. Like even if you stop, you don't lose much. Normally, when you see people having these giant transformations where they were buff and then now they're super skinny or like a super out of shape, they were probably juicing. Like that's like the only way. Like if someone was completely natural, you're never gonna see a super extreme body change.
Exactly. And I think if you become thinner, it's just kind of by choice. And I think like if you want to get back to that muscular range, it's like highly doable. And it's interesting because I think neither of us did a lot of hypertrophy work in those like prior years. And now that I have, I've kind of like blown up a bit. But even just by doing just like a couple deadlifts, a couple squats, a couple presses, a couple pull-ups, like literally a couple, we retain muscle. That's all it took. I don't even think we're working out like properly. Like that's not like ideal, right? There's a lot of things we're missing, but that's all it took to kind of maintain. And we were still generally healthy for it.
And not only that, we're talking about like, maybe crappy nutrition, maybe not good recovery, like all that other stuff that goes into muscle building and like that. Like maintaining your musculature and your strength is very easy. Like as long as you like just eat a generic healthy diet and like sleep even like 6 hours, you should be good to go. Like it is kind of crazy, but once you work and you get it, you can't keep it. So that's like another motivation. Like strength training, it's all like a ball and chain. Like when you worked and earned it, it stays with you.
Yeah, and it's what's really funny is that sometimes when we have these conversations, I think about it because I've gone through way too many years of exercise science, and sometimes like I dive too deep. I'm like, oh, what do I gotta do for the programming? Or I'm like, I'll write someone a workout, be like, damn, there's like only like 4 exercises here. They're not getting their money's worth. But I realized that you don't have to do 16 things. Like really, like if you do, like a workout of deadlifts with intensity and you do some pull-ups, do some back extensions and some rows, that is a damn hard like workout, right? And I think, yeah, like keeping it simple, it doesn't need to be crazy. And also if the workout is too crazy, it's probably like, I don't know if it's going to work that well. If it's got 22 exercises, I don't know. And like, even if it's a great workout, you're going to tune out, right? But like simple, getting it done once or twice a week always works.
I mean, and also like we've said, and all of our fantastic guests have also said, consistency is king. Like if you're doing a workout that's leaving you so tired and exhausted and you just don't want to ever do it again, it's not going to work. Like that's not going to help you. But like the truth of gaining strength and muscle and all that is just if you can do it every week.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I guess nowadays it's very rare that I only work out like once or twice a week, but I still get very guilty of it. I keep thinking my gains are going to go away. And I think it's a reminder that they don't go away, and if they appear to, like, they come back in like 2 weeks sharp.
Yeah, it does. Like, it really does interest me about how there was this inherent fear of your muscles just going away if you like mess up your diet or if you do something, you don't train as hard or you miss some workouts. But like, even especially when people are cutting, like people think that when you do a cut, you're losing a huge amount of muscle mass. But as long as you keep up like a decent amount of protein, it's not even that significant of muscle loss. Like getting actual muscle loss, from what I understand, is actually it's hard to lose a significant amount of muscle if you live a reasonable life.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if lifting weights is not your job, if looking aesthetic is not your job, then you should be doing it seriously, but also like in a very reasonable weight, right? Like if you're in a bulk reasonably, there's no reason to like eat 4,000 over your maintenance. And if you're cutting, there's no reason to eat over like more than 1,000 underneath your maintenance. And if you do it in a reasonable way, then you're not going to lose too much muscle.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, dude, I still remember that bulking episode we have. Like, I think that's one of my favorite ones. And for people who are listening to this one that haven't heard that one changed my mind about muscle building completely.
Yeah, man, it's yeah, the research indicates that you do not have to like yeah, you do not have to put on 20 pounds of fat to put on some muscle.
Yeah. Like, what was it? Like 300 surplus calories were all you really needed?
Yeah, that's nothing. That's literally nothing. Just like literally eat a little more. And if it doesn't work, eat a little bit more. And then like if you really need to, you can calculate things. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that is all really great stuff. And so now maybe let's go a little anecdotally about like how strength training has like enhanced our own lives. And I can go first. I think one of the big things is, Pat, if you remember good old grade 9, grade 10 Anwar, who was super skinny and also probably one of the most uncoordinated humans on planet Earth. Um I think one of the big benefits strength training gave me was, first, it gave like a very it gave me a start of moving because I used to do no sports, no physical activity, and strength training is kind of like an easy way to start moving your body because you can do it
Yeah.
anytime. You can kind of go in times when you can be a little alone, so there's no like social
Yeah.
anxiety of people watching you do stuff. The movements are honestly pretty simple. Like it's easy to get the hang of bench pressing, squatting, deadlift. They're not complicated. It's not like throwing a ball or doing some
Yeah.
other stuff. And so it allowed me to build up like a baseline coordination, allowed me to kind of get a little more confident, have a bit of like athleticism, some strength, and then being able to explore other things like being able to do all like the grappling stuff I do, even though like it might not have a direct impact. Like I never deadlift someone, but it does help, and it also like gave me the confidence to start doing that, as well as like just trying out new things. I think one of the beauties of strength training is it teaches you the values of setting goals, putting in work, and achieving them. And those are skills that you're going to use in literally everything of your life. But just physically, like you just feel it just allows you to get more familiar with moving your body and also knowing what your body can do.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I can vouch for that because we went to high school together, and Anwar could not throw a ball, like, or catch a ball, for that matter. That's not slight against you, really. You
No,
absolutely
you're
just
right.
couldn't.
You're right. Hey, you know what I want to say too is when me and Pat went on vacation, man, I was close to beating you at pickleball, and pickleball is close to tennis, and you are a good tennis player. So I have your name on you, man. I'm gonna be practicing. I'm gonna beat your ass in pickleball soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, the thing is, like, I don't think we've specifically like we've gone to gym many times since high school, but we never like played a sport together since then. And, like, you played a little bit of tennis in high school, and it was, you were no Rafael Nadal, right? Like, I remember you couldn't really serve too well, and like coordinating the hit. And then we went on vacation, and we played some pickleball, and it's Anwar's like first time ever, and like, yeah, the guy is like you're hitting like good shots too. Like the hand-eye coordination's there. You've got footwork now, and you don't do footwork drills, clearly, right?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
kind of like, where did it come from? I think it's not all from strength training. Obviously, you did other sports, but I think like the base you got from it, and I think maybe as you learned from sports and you took it back to the gym and you did new things too, like that kind of evolved your athleticism. Like you're a totally different guy physically than you were before you lifted weights.
Completely. And I think for anyone listening to this who um is like maybe doesn't have much of an athletic background, might not have done much, like lifting weights is such an easy way to start getting more familiar with your body and getting more comfortable with just moving around. And then like you can definitely jump off to other things you want to do. Like I think fitness and working out should be more than just lifting weights.
Yeah, I think I've really turned a corner on that too. Like even as a competitive weightlifter, knowing that my time's running down going back to school, I'm like, let's try to get some sports in, or even like I don't hike well at all, but like, like, okay, let's do a couple hikes.
I love to hear it, man. But yeah, how about you talk about some of your benefits from strength training?
Yeah, sure. Well, there's, I mean, more than I can name, but I think the first like benefit is just like walking around. Know that I don't know. I just think that when you're physically strong and you've kind of earned your ability to be physically strong, because like I'm not naturally like strong, I don't think. Um, it it carries over somewhat at like from like a mental bit. Like just walking around, like if I have like heavy groceries, I'm like I can lift it, right? Or if like if there's something that needs to be like pushed or dragged, like I can move that around, and just know I can help out and contribute to those sort of things that are part of regular life, right? Like sometimes you have to move stuff, but I think honestly that stuff is like boring. But like more importantly, I love sports. I always have loved sports, and I think being strong gives me a great base from which to start sport from a couple of standpoints. The first of which I just feel more like secure with my body that I'm not going to get hurt. Like the fact that like I at least have like quite strong legs. I've got mass in my body, so if I have to like take a hit or whatnot, like I imagine I can take that better than if I was thinner. Another bit of it is that obviously I come from the strength and conditioning background, and that I feel like I can use the gym as a means to enhance sport. Like I know I have a I used to have like a bad shoulder from tennis, or like tore my bicep, but I was like, oh shit, I just have a bad bicep now. I guess I have to live with it. Now it's like you have the tools, right? Let's do some like posterior shoulder work in the gym. Let's do some rows. Let's do mobility, and like the gym becomes a fun place to really use it to enhance whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be sport. Maybe for you it's your work. Maybe for you it's just like dealing with your tight neck, but then like you get to be like a little bit of your own builder of of what you want to see with your body. And I like the fact that you're in the driver's seat in terms of that. Like physios, massage therapists, chiropractors, they're all like very important like lifesavers, but a lot of that is you going to someone and you are reliant on them for treatment. And many things do, like, don't get me wrong, but there's some little things, right? Being a little tight, being a little weak, that you can deal with, and that's so liberating. You're like, I did this, right? Like, like 100%, this is your work and no one can take that away. And yeah, I think my biggest thing is just walking around feeling like I'm strong and that I can do a lot more things that I could when I was like 16 or 17 and not quite as strong.
One of the things I really love that you were talking about is, especially younger, you'd always hear about people like snapping stuff from working out. Like, okay, I messed up my shoulders from benching, or like I screwed up my back from heavy squats and deadlifts. But like one of the things I've learned a lot from this, and recently I think is more popular, is using the gym and strength training to rehabilitate and make sure you don't get injured again. Like strength training can actually be the biggest beneficial thing to not get injured.
Exactly, right? And I think if it's not your job, actually, if it's your job, you really shouldn't get injured from it. But like, so for anybody, like, you should always be constructing your program to minimize your chance of risk. Now, once in a while, if you want to max out, like, reach your goals, that's okay. But if week in, week out, your workouts making you get hurt, I don't think you're doing it right. And there's so many ways you can do it to like enhance yourself and like come out of it feeling strong and actually getting the benefits from it.
Oh yeah, man. Like again, if you go to any pro lifter, you ask them what's the key to success? Consistency. Like you just do not want to get injured because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you don't lift well one day. As long as you can lift the next day and the next day and the next day, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like when you constantly can show up healthy, that's huge. Like taking out of like powerlifting, like any you've done like for example, like wrestling, and you've done some sports like casually or any rec leagues, everybody there is always like hurt. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever like noticed that. Like you go to a rec league or any team, everyone's always hurt and they're always complaining about like my ankle's busted, my knee's busted, this and that. But if you ever ask them, okay, like, have you done anything about it? And they'll always say no, or they'll say like, oh, my shoulder's tight. Like, have you ever tried doing some mobility? They're like, no. And those are those little things. Once you start doing it, you're like, damn, I have an edge. I have this tool that I can use to physically prepare myself that is almost totally safe, right? Like, unlike rugby or something, like no one's knocking you over while you do your like shoulder press and rows, right? You get to work on that. You get to work on yourself. It's like the only type of self-help that is like completely validated by Natty News.
No, love it, man. Love it. All right. Now we covered some pretty big strength topics. Anything else you wanted to discuss?
I just think that, well, like this is a message every single week, but if you haven't like put some time to try strength training, like you gotta try. And if you don't know where to start, like ask us, we're glad to help. But like literally 2-3 times a week, even if it's 20 to 30 minutes, if you're starting even at home, like any dosage is good if you haven't done it, and you'll start to see the changes. Like shout out to our friend Zach who started like hitting some push-ups again, right? And all it takes is like a couple sets for you to build some momentum, and then you start getting stronger. Like, damn, this is cool, and then you want to keep doing it. And yeah, if you haven't tried it, you gotta do it.
Definitely, definitely. No, that's a great message. Now, Pat, let's do a little fun game. So, I think strength is such a popular term, but it's also like, how do you truly test to see if someone's stronger than someone else? Because I don't really feel like powerlifting competitions are the best way to show it, because at that point, you're kind of testing who's a better bench specialist, a squat specialist, who really got the technique down. I don't think strength has to do with technique. Strength is just like raw strength. Like, what would you do to test someone's raw strength? What would you think would be the best test? And I'll let you go first. I've been giving a lot of thought to this.
Man, okay, I got backup options if I don't like those. I think the best test of strength, and this is very specific, it'd be like a double carry. So I couldn't decide the implement, but either kettlebells or like a yoke, something to carry, one on each side. It'd be like a maximum carry with a 50-meter. So sorry, it'd be a maximum deadlift with a 50-meter carry. So my justification for it is that there's the deadlifts involved, which I do think is a pretty strengthy movement. Like you don't like deadlifts, you can hardly be that technical even. Like you can't really like at the end of the day, you just lift it, right? Once everything's tight. And then I think what I always think of when I think of really strong people, which are not me, is that elite strength, not like farm grip strength, right? Like guys that can pinch plates and like hold ridiculous amounts of weight in like their fingers. So I think that carry and like I think a 50-meter carry is pretty legit. Like that's like I think it's a decent test. It's not like a couple steps. Like if your grip's gonna slip, like you're not gonna make it a 50 meters. So you need to have good strength from that deadlift and then good grip, which I think is the foundation of all strength, to complete it. Yeah, thoughts on that?
So no, I like it. Initially, I was thinking farmers carries for the exact same reason as you. Like a farmer's carry, I think is such a very pure strength thing. But I was thinking a true test of strength, you should not be able to prepare for. In my philosophy, like, because someone could practice that, someone could get better at that if they practice it more and more. And I feel like a true test of strength, you cannot practice, or it would be hard for you to practice, like very challenging for you to practice it. So I believe I saw this in one of the Highlander games, and the challenge was picking up random rocks in like a field. So rocks that just have like weird sizes, like there's no consistency. They're not like the Atlas stones. They're not round. They're just weirdly shaped rocks. So that I imagine the best test of strength is two people, like maybe you and I. We go and we can see who can pick up the more rocks than the other person. Like I'll pick up one and you try picking it up if you can, and we go to another rock. And I think that's the best test. I think that
Just
is
off
the
the ground, just off the ground.
yeah, pick up the ground and like up to like chest level.
Damn, no, that's pretty badass. I agree with that. I think there's two pillars, right? Because we're talking things you can't prepare for. I agree. I also like grip. I think you can't prepare for because if you don't have it, you don't have it. And then odd objects you can't prepare for because odd objects are so hard to lift. Like 100-pound stone shaped terribly would kick my ass any day.
Oh, dude, even like a normal shaped stone, 100 pounds, that would be tough to pick up, especially since like from the bottom position, like you have to like, it's gonna be like a deficit deadlift from the bottom, and you have to keep your curve tight as you kind of like switch it up to your chest. Like that is a tough movement to do, and because the shape of it, there's no real way you can prepare for it because there's gonna be all these different rocks with different jags. Like I truly think that would be the best test of strength. Like I think there should be competitive stone picking.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Well, I mean, like the round stones at the strongman games are already pretty damn hard.
Yeah, like I would feel like Atlas stones really are an amazing test of strength because it really is like you have to be incredibly strong to be able to do that. And you do need to have like grip strength, back, posterior chain strength, like so much stuff goes into doing that. So I do love
it is
Atlas.
very much a skill. Like it is very skill like you can practice for it very much. So yeah, I like that. I really like that. I think to take it one step further would be like a odd object lift and like press. That's just to like for like the upper body aspect. Like that's freaking crazy too. Like people who can like get a stone over their head or like chuck it over them. Oh my gosh.
Oh my, yeah, no, you're right about that. Like adding that thing. But yeah, I kind of feel like that. I also feel like something about strength also has to do with like grittiness, like just lifting some random rough object. Like I feel like you have to have a bit of that when you do a strength competition.
Oh, absolutely. Like a 1 rep max lift is never like that. Like it's not that bad. Like I'm not tough because I can do a heavy deadlift. I'm really not. But like, yeah, like lifting a heavy, especially because you're probably gonna drop the stone a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to find the angles, or you'll get almost there, then you'll drop it, and you're like, "Fuck!" Like this sucks.
Yeah, especially like this, like the rock just like scraping your body and all that other crap and stuff. Yeah, no, that's what I truly think. But I'm curious, what are some of your backup ideas? Because I like yours. I think like if we were limiting this by purely barbell movement or like weight movements, like traditional gym stuff, I think yours is pretty close to what would be an ideal test of strength.
Yeah, carry, because you just can't like prepare for it. There's no hook grip. There's no technique to gripping. You just hold on, and once you're weak, you don't have it. And that's why I like make people do carries too. It's just like it just exposes it, right? There's no technique. Like if you're good, you're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what I had. Okay, I'm gonna go with like the boring ones first. So I had deadlifts down because I do think they're like it's like pretty good because like the amount of technicality is limited. Like if you can deadlift, especially like a double overhand deadlift, because it can show like grip strength, I think it's pretty good. What else did I have? I had military press as an upper body measure of strength. I think it's pretty good because it's so pure. But again, it's not perfect. I think a stone is more.
I do think military press is a better indicator than bench press. Like as much as I want to have a big bench, I think military press is the better indicator of upper body strength.
Yeah. I mean, you can't leg drive your way out of a military press. You're literally just like, and that like first spit off the bottom is like the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
So heavy. So I had that. Those are the boring ones. And then I had some fun ones. I had a keg toss for whatever.
I like that. I like that one. That's a good one.
It's an odd object.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Or keg carries are brutal, but like a keg toss is because it's an odd object. You have to and it takes grip too, because holding onto those things are not easy. Like you're gonna scrape your hand. And then I had power stairs.
Oh, wait, a power stair is the one where they like grip like the super heavy weight and have to like kind of like bring it up, and then they go up the next stair and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just thought of it like it's so friggin' uncomfortable and like awkward, and it is like a unilateral movement. You have to take a step up with like they do like 500-600 pounds. There's a grip aspect to it, and you have to go up and you have to go down. There's like concentric, eccentric. I think it's really I don't know. I think it's really impressive. Like that is some strong person stuff to do.
I would love to try it. Like I've seen them in like World's Strongest Man and stuff like that, but I would love to try it myself one day.
How much do you think you can do for a power stairs?
Oh man, I think at least 100.
Yeah, I think you could do more. I don't know. I think you could do
Yeah,
more.
I guess 100 might be lowballing it. I don't. I guess because I don't do anything like that, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think the downward would be really brutal. Like having gravity with you as you go down the stairs with like a shaky weight. And it's like between your legs too. It's so awkward.
Yeah. No, that would be a tough one. What do you think? How much do you think you could do?
I think I could do like 150.
Okay.
I'm just using the math that like I think my grip like at 150 is like comfortable for me to hold, but heavy. And we're talking like 4 steps up, 4 steps down. I'm not going like a full flight of stairs. I think I'll actually die. I think I could do that. What do you think you can get on the max carry in 50 meters?
Max carry in 50 meters. Man, so honestly, grip strength is something I do need to work on more. I don't have the strongest grip strength, but I think I could honestly do maybe like 160-pound dumbbells in each hand.
160s?
I think I could.
Man.
Because I did do like I used to do farmer's carries with the trap bar. So like I could do like 315, and I think I could walk like
it's a lot easier with the trap though. I've tried both.
Really? It's easier with the trap bar than it is with like dumbbells?
Yeah. Yeah. I can walk with 405 and I can't walk 405 with anything else. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm overestimating that because I was thinking it would be kind of similar. Okay, you know what? I'll be more modest. I think 120. I think I could do 120.
120s? I think I could do. Dude, I think hundreds would be hard. I don't have a great grip. 50 meters? Maybe hundreds. I gotta try that one day. Yeah, we gotta try that. We gotta find out.
You know what? You're making me second guess myself now. Like I feel like maybe hundreds too. All right, we had to try it. We had to try it. It's been a while since I've done some farmers carries.
Yeah, well, like listeners, you guys gotta try it. This is a super accessible test. Just grab some dumbbells and what's 50 yards or 50 meters? I don't know. Probably like 50 steps.
Yeah.
50 steps. What weight can you take 50 steps with after you lift up?
Oh man, that's it. I'm gonna try. I have to try it next time I'm in the gym. I'm gonna maybe if it's empty, I might do a little walk around the gym holding some heavy ass weights. But yeah, we're just about to hit the hour. So Pat, you want to wrap us up for today?
Yeah, that's pretty much for today. Well, again, we mentioned some Natty News Strength challenges today. If you perform them, and we encourage you to, let us know what you get, or film it and send us to us. We'd be happy to see it. But if you enjoy Natty News, be sure to share it with at least 2 friends of yours so you can spread the word. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the notification bell on Spotify so you can view us there. And let us know if you have any feedback, comments, or ideas for future episodes.
Beautiful, Pat. Well, anyways, thank you all. Hope you keep on making some of those natty strength gains, and Natty News out.
Natty News out.